Good morning, afternoon, good evening to everybody. That depends on which area of the world you're dialing in from. I would love to introduce Susanne Horber to you today. She's an ESG strategist and a vastly experienced consultant with clients such as Coca-Cola. She operates in the dairy industry as well as the food industry. I will leave it up to Susanne to further introduce herself during our call. I am Dirk Coetzee, or DC if you prefer, that's much easier to pronounce, originally from South Africa, and I am the performance director of the OKR Institute. And today we will be focused on ESG strategy and execution through OKRs. I would, without further ado, because this is quite a short call, therefore we'll have short introductions. I would love to hand over to Susanne.
Thank you, and I will share the presentation. So hold on a second. Can you see the presentation now? Good.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to see so many people here today. It's great to see that more and more people are taking sustainability seriously, whether it's because you truly believe in it or because you're forced to. Every one of you here has taken a step forward, making companies more sustainable. It doesn't matter why. What's important is that we all are working together for a greater impact. I want to explain why this is so important by asking a simple question. How many of you have kids or grandkids, or maybe nieces, nephews, or good children? We all need to think about the world we are leaving for them and the challenges they will face when we are gone. That's the reason why I'm so passionate about sustainability. To get into the mood for today's topic, I would like you to invite to watch a short movie with me.
This is about tomorrow. For a thriving, living world.
It's up to us to act today.
We have to question everything.
How we see ourselves.
The world around us.
Everything we do.
How we act is a reflection of who we are.
Every step leaves a footprint on tomorrow.
We need to move forward with a sense of purpose.
Without empathy, collaboration,
concrete actions.
Without humanity, progress is empty.
For tomorrow is real people connecting.
Empowering each other to make real change in the world.
We are not going to take anything for granted.
Or to wait and see what's around the corner. We're going to act.
For tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
We'll do it because we owe it to the ones who come next.
Because we can make the world a better place.
Because we can work together.
Because of me.
Because of you.
Because of us.
If we look ahead with humanity.
We can act for tomorrow. Today.
So my name is Sue Horber. I'm the mother of 2 kids, and this is exactly my vision. I want to leave my children and their children a world to live in and not just problems and disasters. For a long time, I have strategically advised big brands on how they can earn more money, especially in the food and fast food sectors. But over time, I asked myself, am I doing the right things that could drive growth? That's how I came across the topic of sustainability. I started small within my own family, which, to be honest, didn't always lead to big hoorays. And then I integrated the topic into my professional consulting work and completed the training as a CSR manager. Now, as a strategic planner and CSR manager, I would like to help the responsible people in companies recognize that sustainable business and conscious branding leads to more growth and secure the business in the long term. So what is sustainability nowadays, and why is it so important for companies? More and more people want to know how the companies they buy from or invest in take care of the environment or position themselves on certain social issues. Companies can therefore no longer afford to ignore these areas. Instead, they should develop strategies and come up with plans to address these socially and ecologically relevant issues. Today, we want to take a deeper look into ESG. ESG stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. which are important factors for companies to consider in terms of sustainability, ethics, and social responsibility. These criteria are meant to make sure that organizations operate in a sustainable way and take responsibility for their action in society. Investors, companies, clients, and others use ESG criteria to evaluate the long-term sustainability and ethical practices of investments and business operations. So let's see what's behind the three areas of environment, social, and governance. What kind of guidance do these three criteria offer? And what specific factors can investors use to evaluate a company's sustainability efforts? The environmental aspect looks at how companies' actions affect the environment and what it does to protect it. This covers things like how the company manages waste, uses resources, emits greenhouse gases, and deals with air pollution. It also includes efforts to improve energy efficiency and biodiversity. The social aspect looks at how a company treats people, including its employees and others, like suppliers, customers, and the public. This includes things like how diverse and inclusive the company is. It offers fair work conditions, respects human rights, protects privacy, keeps customers satisfied, ensures health and safety, and supports the local community. Governance is about how a company is managed and regulated. It involves things like tax plans, executive pay, how the company is structured, its charity activities, and political involvement, efforts to prevent corruption, and having diversity in its leadership and supervisory boards. Now one might wonder, what are the benefits for companies when they take action in these areas? Aren't these just added burdens and more expenses? If you take only one point out of this webinar with you today, then please take the one that ESG is not a cost factor, but a performance factor. It's not a burden, it's an opportunity. In addition to social responsibility, it helps companies become future-proofed and remain competitive. The investments pay off in terms of their own financial future. Those who implement a good sustainability strategy today will have a significant competitive advantage when stricter regulations will come in the future. Overall, a well-thought-out ESG strategy offers a lot of benefits. One advantage is increased innovation. Instead of seeing regulations as inconveniences, companies should seize the opportunity to get creative and develop new environmentally friendly business models and products with greater social impact. Another point is that it leads to more growth. Especially the younger generations use their purchasing power to reward companies that commit to ESG criteria. The others will be penalized. So the ESG strategy becomes an essential part of branding and public relations offers. Or better investment opportunities, so-called impact investing, is becoming increasingly popular. Companies with strong ESG initiatives tend to be safer long-term investments. Furthermore, it actually reduces costs because neglecting ESG can lead to big fines, compensation payments, strikes in your company or its suppliers, reducing waste in production processes, and promoting recycling programs can lower disposal costs, or focus on energy efficiency will lower your energy costs, or investing in employee safety and health can help to reduce accident costs and minimize sick leave. And last but not least, young talents are actively seeking meaningful jobs today. They want to work for companies whose values align with their own. In the war of talents, having a clear ESG strategy can be a real advantage. Despite all the logic, needs, and good arguments, I often find it challenging to implement sustainability in companies. Just let me mention 3 of the problems that could occur. One of the problems I often hear is, I don't know where to start. Am I even required to report yet? Or even if I'm not obligated to report, my client still wants this information from me. Otherwise, I won't get the order. Which standard should I use for reporting? There are so many different rules and standards out there. It is tough to figure out which ones apply to my company. They can change depending on where we operate, with whom we operate, and what industry we're in. That's why it's important for companies to be flexible and adapt quickly when it comes to sustainable efforts. But even once you've set the framework, measuring ESG criteria and reporting on them can be challenged. It can be difficult to gather and analyze reliable data within the company or from suppliers to assess the company's performance in these areas. For example, to get data from suppliers and partners. Companies often need to access data from the businesses they buy products from or collaborate with to understand the impacts of their supply chain on the environment and society. However, gathering and standardizing this data can be challenging because suppliers may use different reporting standards and systems. And last but not least, even if you try, it doesn't guarantee success. Often there's quite a bit of resistance. Employees and managers might resist change, especially if they're not fully convinced of the benefits and need of this information. Some may support the company's efforts towards sustainability, while others may be skeptical or pose additional demands. I often hear the sentence, change is good as long as it doesn't affect me. So how can we overcome barriers and implement ESG in the company successfully? It's always better if you do something voluntarily than if you're forced to do it. One of the most important factors for success, in my opinion, is to cultivate a good ground for sustainable growth. It's important to integrate the concept of sustainability firmly into the brand's DNA. This is not only gives the legitimation from the top-down leadership level, but also makes it a must to be organically integrated into future strategies. ESG requirements should not be set and executed quickly and randomly. Instead, a strategy should be developed that fits perfectly to your company. Each organization can decide for itself which aspects of the ESG areas are most important and have priority. It's also important to consider which factors have the highest impact on your stakeholders. It is always the same. You need concrete objectives at the beginning of any good ESG strategy. Now the question arises, are there approaches that help me to identify the right topics and goals from the variety of options and implement the strategy as effectively, quickly, and collaboratively as possible within my company? This is exactly the moment for us to take a closer look at the topic of OKR. So please let me hand over to the most experienced OKR coach, Dirk, to explain further how OKRs can help to implement ESG criteria more easily in a company.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. OKRs, at the heart of OKRs lies the ability to fill the strategy and execution gap. Ultimately, when we have a look at ESG, there has to be an ESG vision that we are in pursuit of, a clear ESG strategy. And in support, we write objectives, outcome-focused objectives, key results, and then an action plan, thereby filling the strategy and execution gap, and thereby ensuring that we ultimately attain our ESG strategies. That is often what companies struggle with. That's often what governments struggle with, is there's a philosophy behind execution, but not always an action plan that is executable at the end. And that's where OKRs come in. If we can continue. A reminder to those familiar with OKRs or for those who are new to OKRs, what an OKR framework looks like, an OKR action plan. Right at the top, because we align everything to our vision, mission, core values, and company purpose. We need clarity of vision, mission, and also our company purpose to properly align objectives, key results, and action plan there too. Then we have our strategic objectives. That's at the highest level of the company in support and in alignment to the vision and the company purpose. In alignment to our strategic objectives, we have our tactical or team objectives, and then we draft our action plan in support. The vision is, we have our key results, that's the measurables in support of our tactical objectives, and in support of our key results, ultimately the action plan. Now, the vision, as most of us would know, is the top goal, the one big goal that the company will be in pursuit of for the next 1 to up to 3 years. And then our strategic objectives usually has a validity period of a year. Our tactical objectives, usually up to a quarter, could be up to a year, but in most industries and in most cases and scenarios, they are set quarterly. The key results are the measurables in support of our tactical objectives, and they usually have a validity period of a quarter as well. And then we have our prioritized tasks, initiatives, and projects in support of achieving our key results. All of this combined constitutes a goal-setting framework that empowers us to take action on our vision and regularly check in on it. If we can go to the next slide. All of this combined an OKR action plan. Now I would like to ask Suzanne, specifically which ESG KPIs generally must be met?
Well, there are a large number of ESG KPIs. Most of them reflect the risks because these play the biggest role for investors. Some examples are carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gas emissions, water consumption, energy consumption, waste production, staff turnover, sickness rates, or number of workplace accidents, or injuries, percentage of women in management positions, and customer satisfaction. The question now is, Dirk, can you turn these KPIs into OKRs?
Definitely. First of all, KPIs and OKRs are complementary. It's not a question of KPIs versus OKRs or a choice between the two. They definitely complement each other. If we look at a statement like staff retention, for example, or injuries percentage, those are statements of output. If we want to transform them into OKRs, we can say that, for example, we want to retain talent and make a lasting impact in our industry. Then we are more outcome focused and we are 30% more likely to attain outcome focused goals. Or we can say create a safe environment in which employees can thrive. And that's more outcome focused if you compare it to injuries percentage. But if we have a look at ESG and if we look at the G part, governance, if you operate in an industry or an environment where there's a lot of compliance factors, then milestone key results could be most applicable. And we can break down governance and compliance issues into milestone key results. An example that is ESG related, our objective could be strengthening sustainable corporate governance and social responsibility. The milestone key result then in support and alignment of that objective is 100% implementation of the ISO 26000 guidelines. We then take that key result, break it down into all its elements because it's comprehensive, and track progress. Milestone 1, for example, is team formation and employee awareness. Then milestone 2, if we can continue, milestone 2, assessment and action plan. So we break it down into all its elements and again track progress. Then we break it down further, milestone 3 and 4. Training and communication as milestone 3, full implementation of ISO 26000. And then you would see on the right-hand column that we keep track of progress. We assign a measurement of progress to each milestone. So upon completion of team formation and employee awareness, we have completed 20% of the total key result, another 20% upon assessment and action plan completion, the same with training and communication, and full implementation, another 40%, and then we are at 100% completion. This is more output focused, but at the same time, we keep a track of progress. Now, there's always the question, the difference between KPIs and OKRs and the correlation of the two performance systems. Again, it's not a combat between KPIs and OKRs. Should we keep KPIs? Should we only be focused on OKRs? Should we replace OKRs with KPIs? They complement each other, but let's have a closer look at the difference between KPIs and OKRs. If we have a look at KPIs, they are health metrics. They measure business as usual. They are generally output focused, meaning activity based. Only 100% attainment of KPIs is generally seen in most cultures as an attainment of those KPIs. They are roof shots and committed goals, not necessarily far reaching. On the other hand, if we have a look at OKRs, they are aspirational, to use Google's terms, far-reaching goals, moonshots. A 70% attainment is already a high attainment, way beyond business as usual. They are outcome focused. They measure the impact that we are making, the difference and the value that we are adding. They are future directed and highly ambitious, generally speaking. We can continue. And then to further clarify the difference between OKRs and KPIs. OKRs, a goal execution framework, starting with objectives, key results, the measurables, and then the action plan, a full framework filling the strategy and execution gap. Top-down alignment happens, meaning we can transform a key result at the highest level of the company to an objective at team level. A bottom-up approach is also prevalent when we use OKRs. We draft team objectives that align to the strategic objectives of the company and ultimately the vision, could be the ESG vision. Horizontal alignment is also at play when there's cross-functional work being done across teams. OKRs are outcome-focused, meaning they measure the impact, the value that we ultimately add, not output-focused, meaning activity-based. Future-directed and ESG goals are also definitely future-directed. So OKR is very optimal to use to measure ESG progress and compliance. Inspiring, all OKR frameworks are ultimately aligned to the vision, the clear and compelling vision of the company or your ESG vision, the mission and strategies of the company. We can transform strategies into strategic pillars and then align our OKRs there too. And then a comparison again, or OKRs as well as a set time period. We go through OKR cycles, they change, could be quarterly. Then on the other hand, KPIs. They are output focused, generally speaking. They measure the health of your business. They are health metrics. Usually only top down. KPIs are handed down, often not co-created. They are output focused, meaning based on activities, and not necessarily outcome focused. They are usually measuring past performance, and they are lagging indicators where we have a preference for future directed indicators or leading indicators through the use of OKRs. KPIs are also generally controlling and provides benchmarks. And they are measured on an ongoing basis where, as previously said, OKRs changes. They have a set time period. Then we have provided samples for you within the ESG environment and then you can use our AI OKR draft to draft the initial OKR, and then of course you can improve thereupon. You can use the link okri.io. But here's a sample that we have created for you. The objective: reduce resource consumption to minimize environmental impact and provide sustainable practices. And then our supporting key results are the following: reduce paper usage by 50% in all departments by implementing digital workflows, decrease energy consumption by 20% through the installation of energy efficient equipment and practices. And then we have further examples for you. If we can go on to the next one. And then an example related to the social part of ESG. Enhance diversity and inclusion efforts to create a more equitable, inclusive workplace for all employees. So more outcome focused than KPIs. Key result examples: increase minority employee representation by 15% across all departments and leadership levels. Just one more example: implement unconscious bias training for all employees and track a 10% increase in inclusion scores. And then another example related to governance: strengthen corporate governance practices to ensure transparency. Let me just move accountability and ethical decision-making across the organization. And in support thereof, we again have our key results that would validate that we are strengthening our corporate governance. For example, conduct annual ethics training for all employees and achieve a 95% completion rate. Implement a whistleblower hotline and resolve all reported cases within 30 days. Measurables at key result level, mostly leading indicators supporting and validating our objective. Those are just examples for you. Now, we're very excited to announce that you can become a certified OKR practitioner with a focus on ESG. And we have started, or will start, with on-site workshops. And there's the date for you. The first one will be conducted in Munich. And then there's a alternate online workshop as well. The date is there. And you can contact us for further information. And the contact details will be on the following slide. We are very happy to work with Susanne to create these courses. And I think it will make a huge impact in the ESG sector. That's an area where most companies are struggling how to implement measurements in a sustainable way and keep track of their performance related to ESG. So very happy to present an OKR practitioner ESG related, or with an ESG focus, to you. Here's the contact details for any further questions that you have around the OKR courses, or any ESG related questions that you want to ask after this webinar. More than welcome to contact us.